I'm Leslie, 33. The living room of my parents' house felt like a courtroom, the air thick with tension. I stood there, clutching a manila folder, as if it were a shield against the storm of words that were about to be unleashed. The door opened before I could knock, and my father's imposing figure filled the frame. "You're late," he growled, his voice like thunder. I met his gaze steadily. "No, I'm right on time." As I stepped inside, I took in the scene. The room was arranged like a tribunal. My father sat in his leather chair, my mother beside him, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. My brother Ryan and his girlfriend Lily were huddled together on the love seat, looking like they were in a play. And across from them, with a notepad in hand, was Aunt Grace, the family's self-appointed enforcer. There was an empty wooden chair in the center, waiting for me, but I remained standing. My father cleared his throat. "We're all here because we love you, but your behavior this week has been unacceptable." I let his words hang in the air, my mind flashing back to the events that had led me here. It all started with a text message. 3 hours before that text, I had wired $120 to help my parents save their struggling antique shop. Then the message came. "You're not invited to dinner. Ryan's girlfriend isn't comfortable with you there." I stared at the screen, the words burning into my eyes. I read it again, and then, with a calm that surprised me, I typed, "Okay." I sat at my desk, the mid-morning sun casting long shadows on the wood. The laptop screen glowed, showing a long list of scheduled payments. It was like looking at the map of my family's financial dependence on me. First, there was Ryan's support package. He was 28, still in college part-time, and had yet to land a job. Every month, $500 was automatically deposited into his account. I clicked cancel and then confirm. A small green checkmark appeared, but I felt nothing. Next was my mother's emergency credit card. Last month, she had boasted about buying a set of expensive china because it was on sale. I clicked cancel again. My father's leased SUV, which was supposed to be for shop deliveries but was often used for his fishing trips, was next. I canceled that payment too. The family cell phone plan, which I had been paying for, was also axed. The irony of being excluded via a text on a phone I paid for was not lost on me. The hardest one was their retirement fund. Every month, I had transferred a generous amount, thinking it was an act of love and security. But now, I realized they had never made room for me in their future. I stared at the screen for a long time before finally clicking cancel. As I leaned back in my chair, the silence in the room was deafening. It wasn't grief or relief I felt, it was clarity. For the first time in my adult life, I was free from the constant demands of my family. My phone buzzed with a bank alert confirming the termination of all the payments. It was poetic. They had cut me out of dinner, and I had cut them out of my accounts. It wasn't long before the call started. Ryan was the first. His name lit up on my phone like a warning sign. I let it ring 4 times before answering, putting it on speaker as I walked to the kitchen to pour myself a coffee. "Leslie, what the hell?" he blurted out. "My rent bounced, and I'm getting a late fee. You didn't send the money." I stirred my coffee slowly. "Good morning, Ryan. Sounds like a personal finance issue to me." He stammered. "Why are you doing this? It's just because of dinner, right? Lily just wanted a quiet night." I took a sip of my coffee. "You're really going to try and guilt trip me over this? Grow up." And I hung up, then blocked his number. An hour later, my father called. His voice was cold and businesslike. "Leslie, I need you to explain yourself. Your mother's card got declined at the grocery store." I replied calmly, "I've made some changes to my budget. Maybe you should re-evaluate your business strategy." He growled, "We're partners. We had an agreement." I almost smiled. "Let's revisit that agreement. You'll be surprised what it says." His voice turned threatening. "You're playing with fire, Leslie." And he hung up. That evening, my mother called, sobbing. "Leslie, honey, please. What's going on? Your father is furious, and Ryan is beside himself." I listened in silence. She went on about how it was just a dinner and how Lily was easily overwhelmed. Then she said, "You hold your money over everyone's heads. If we ever stood up to you, you'd punish us." That was the moment I realized they had not only excluded me, but were ready to expect retaliation from me, as if I were a monster. "Thank you, Mom. You've made things perfectly clear," I said, and ended the call. I remembered when I was 18, holding a paintbrush stained with cobalt blue, my favorite color that represented freedom. That morning, I had opened an envelope from the New York School of Art, a full scholarship offer. I was floating on air, imagining a new life on the East Coast. My parents were proud, but then came the family meeting. My father placed a brochure for a business program at Harvard in front of me. Ryan has real potential. This school could change his life, and we're short on money. If you could take a year or two off. I interrupted. I have a scholarship. This isn't about money. My mother chimed in. Your art will still be there. Ryan only has one shot. They called it family sacrifice, but they never made it up to me. I shelved my acceptance letter and applied to a local business school. I worked hard, graduated early, and got a job in finance. Every bonus, every raise I gave to my family, thinking it would make them see me as an equal. But they gave that dinner seat to a girl Ryan had known for only 6 months. It was the final straw. Back in the present, in the living room, I took a deep breath and placed the manila folder on the coffee table. The sound it made was like a gunshot in the silence. My father barked. What's that? I said calmly. It's a business document. Do you remember it? In 2015, I gave you $85,000 to keep the shop from going under. It was a capital investment, not a loan. I slid the notarized summary from the folder. In exchange for that investment, I have a 51% controlling interest in the antique shop. That means I have the final say in all operations. Ryan's voice cracked. You tricked them. I shook my head. No, they just assumed I'd never use it. Lily hissed. This is insane. You think a piece of paper makes you the boss of the family? I looked at her coldly. You're not family. You're a guest, and your opinion doesn't matter. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Ryan just sat there, silent. I came here willing to talk about feelings, I said, my voice cracking slightly. But you made that impossible. All I ever wanted was to be included, but you made it clear that love here is conditional. I pulled out another paper. As the majority shareholder and executive director, I'm implementing new policies. You'll all be on payroll as store managers, with fair salaries. Company credit cards are canceled, and all expenses need my approval. My mother gasped, and Ryan's eyes widened. Lily stood up, furious, but no one followed her. Aunt Grace scoffed. You'll regret this. I replied, no, I'll remember it. I picked up the folder and walked out of the house. The silence behind me was like a void, but I didn't look back. When I got home, I felt a strange sense of peace. I found my old sketchbook in the attic, wrapped in plastic. I opened it and started to draw. The first lines were shaky, but as I continued, I lost myself in the process. I turned my guest room into a studio, bought high-quality paints, and started to paint. The first paintings were messy, full of emotions, but they were mine. One day, a call came from an unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Leslie, it's Ryan. His voice was soft and tired. I didn't say anything at first. He rushed on. I'm not calling to ask for anything. I got a job at a warehouse. It's hard work, but it's the first time I've felt like I'm earning my own way. He paused. Lily left. She said I had no direction without your money. I'm sorry, Leslie. I never realized how much I was taking from you. I listened, the silence on my end filled with a mix of emotions. Thank you for calling, I finally said. He hesitated. Can I keep going? I said, yeah. He went on, sharing his new-found sense of responsibility. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was a beginning. I used to believe that being a good daughter meant sacrificing everything for my family. But now I know that boundaries aren't betrayal. I'm no longer the silent backer. I'm the artist, the woman who is finally writing her own story. And as I look at the cobalt blue paint on my palette, I know that I'm finally on the path to being truly myself.